The movers were carrying Lily's bed out of the house when I pulled into the driveway. Her purple butterfly sheets still clung to the mattress like fragile wings. My mother-in-law stood on the porch, directing the men with sharp, confident gestures. Sunlight flashed against her pearl necklace as she pointed toward the truck. I stayed in my car for 3 silent heartbeats. Then I understood. She had planned this for today. The one afternoon every week I spent at the cemetery. "Oh, good. You're home," Margaret said when I reached the steps, not bothering to hide her satisfaction. "We've made excellent progress. Jason's baby will need this room by Christmas." I thought it was best to start fresh. I stopped, still holding the small bouquet of daisies I had forgotten to place on Lily's grave. "Jason's baby is due December 15th, she announced, watching the movers struggle with Lily's bookshelf. "Finally, a grandchild to carry on the family name. We're turning this into a proper nursery. None of that purple princess nonsense." The words landed like blows. Lily had chosen every detail of that room during her last good month, when the treatments eased just enough for her to imagine a future she would never have. "Where's my husband?" I asked. "Thomas is at work. Someone has to pay for all this." She waved toward the chaos. "I told him I'd handle everything. No need to bother you during your grief." I walked past her. Inside, the living room was buried in boxes marked donate and trash. Lily's drawings, the ones she made during chemo, were stacked carelessly by the door. "Please be careful with those," I said. "They're just childish scribbles, Veronica," Margaret replied. "We need to focus on the future, not cling to the past." I turned and really looked at her. New suit. New jewelry. A much larger diamond on her finger. "When did Jason tell you about the baby?" I asked. "Last month. He and Jennifer have been trying for ages." She smiled. "They're not married yet, but that's just a formality. Not like your situation with Thomas." "Our situation? You can't expect him to live in a mausoleum forever. A man needs living children, not shrines to the dead." My phone buzzed. "Hope this cemetery visit was healing. Love you, Thomas." "You don't know about this, do you?" I asked quietly. "Men don't understand these things. They need us to make the hard decisions." She picked up Lily's stuffed elephant. "This can go to charity." I took it from her hands. "Lily slept with him every night," I said. "Even in the hospital. Even on the last night." Margaret hesitated. Then I asked softly, "Did Jason mention anything about his medical history when he shared the news?" "What medical history?" "The vasectomy he had 3 years ago." Her face shifted. "When he and his first wife decided they didn't want children, Thomas went with him for the procedure. They turned it into a golf weekend." "That's ridiculous," she snapped. "Jennifer had an ultrasound." "Oh, I'm sure she's pregnant." I opened my phone. "It's just interesting timing. Jason divorces Melissa, immediately starts dating Jennifer, and suddenly there's a miracle baby." The smile finally cracked. Before she could speak, I opened another screen. "You do know this house is in my name, right?" "The family home should stay in the family," she said stiffly. "It is in the family." "My family?" I showed her the property record. "My grandmother left it to me. The deed never changed." A mover appeared in the doorway. "Ma'am, what should we do with the toy chest?" "It's heavy." "Put everything back," I said. "Exactly where it was." Margaret bristled. "Now wait." "No. You wait." I stepped closer. "Do you know what I was doing at the cemetery today?" I asked. "I was telling my 6-year-old daughter about her future cousins. About how she would have loved teaching them about butterflies and rainbows." Her face went pale. "I was explaining to a headstone why Grandma Margaret never visits. Why Uncle Jason stopped coming to the hospital. Why you said she looked unfortunate without her hair." "I was only trying to help," she burst out. "This house is a tomb. Thomas needs to move on. He's grieving his child. She wasn't his blood." Margaret snapped. The words dropped into the room like shattered glass. Even the movers froze. "What did you just say?" I asked. "She wasn't his blood," she repeated, quieter this time. I nodded slowly. "So that's what this is about. Lily was my daughter from my first marriage. She never really counted to you." "That's not." "That's exactly what you mean." Suddenly, everything made sense. The smaller gifts. The way Lily was always pushed to the edge of family photos. The careful introductions. Thomas's stepdaughter. Biology matters, Margaret said defensively. Jason's baby will carry the family blood. You know what else matters? I said. I opened the security app on my phone. We installed cameras after Lily got sick. She was scared someone would come in while she was too weak to run. Margaret finally noticed the small black lenses in the corners of the room. Everything is recorded, I said calmly. Including this conversation. Including your plan to do this while I was at the cemetery. I turned to the movers. Please put everything back. I have photos of the room if you need them. Then I looked at her. Mrs. Harrington will be leaving now. I'm not going anywhere until Thomas gets home. Thomas is about to receive a very interesting phone call. No. You wait. I stepped closer. Do you know what I was doing at the cemetery today? I asked. I was telling my 6-year-old daughter about her future cousins. About how she would have loved teaching them about butterflies and rainbows. Her face went pale. I was explaining to a headstone why Grandma Margaret never visits. Why Uncle Jason stopped coming to the hospital. Why you said she looked unfortunate without her hair. I was only trying to help, she burst out. This house is a tomb. Thomas needs to move on. He's grieving his child. She wasn't his blood. Margaret snapped. The words dropped into the room like shattered glass. Even the movers froze. What did you just say? I asked. She wasn't his blood. She repeated, quieter this time. I nodded slowly. So that's what this is about. Lily was my daughter from my first marriage. She never really counted to you. That's exactly what you mean. Suddenly, everything made sense. The smaller gifts. The way Lily was always pushed to the edge of family photos. The careful introductions. Thomas's stepdaughter. Biology matters, Margaret said defensively. Jason's baby will carry the family blood. You know what else matters? I said. I opened the security app on my phone. We installed cameras after Lily got sick. She was scared someone would come in while she was too weak to run. Margaret finally noticed the small black lenses in the corners of the room. Everything is recorded, I said calmly. Including this conversation. Including your plan to do this while I was at the cemetery. I turned to the movers. Please put everything back. I have photos of the room if you need them. Then I looked at her. Mrs. Harrington will be leaving now. I'm not going anywhere until Thomas gets home. Thomas is about to receive a very interesting phone call. I cut her off, already dialing and attaching the security footage. Let's see what he thinks about his mother tearing apart his daughter's room. I said, yes, Margaret, his daughter. Blood doesn't change that. The phone rang once. Hey, honey, Thomas said. How was the cemetery? Eventful, I replied, keeping my eyes on Margaret. Your mother is here. She has some interesting ideas about Jason and a nursery. What? Mom's at the house? A nursery. I'm sending you the footage now. You might want to sit down. Margaret's face flickered. Anger, embarrassment, and finally something close to fear. Veronica, what's going on? Thomas asked sharply. Your mother decided to empty Lily's room for Jason's baby while I was at the cemetery. Silence. Then quietly she did what? I'm handling it, I said. But you may want to come home. And maybe call Jason on the way. Ask him about that vasectomy reversal he must have had. Another pause. I'm leaving now. Thomas said coldly. Mom, if you're listening, don't move. Don't touch anything. Don't speak. I put the phone on speaker. Thomas, I was only trying to help, Margaret began. I said don't speak. He shouted. My daughter has been dead for 4 months. 4 months. And you're tearing apart her room. His voice broke. That's my little girl's room. That's where I read her stories. That's where she told me she loved me for the last time. He stopped. I could hear him fighting for breath. 20 minutes. I'll be there in 20 minutes. The call ended. Margaret stood frozen, her composure finally gone. He didn't mean, I said quietly. He did. I sank onto the couch, suddenly drained. You know what the worst part is? I whispered. Lily loved you. Even when you made it clear she didn't really belong, she loved you. She made you a birthday card. It's probably in one of those boxes you labeled trash. Margaret glanced at the boxes. Purple paper, I added. Glitter everywhere. She was so weak, but she insisted on making it special. Without a word, Margaret went to the boxes and began searching. She found it in the third one. The purple card trembled in her hands. To Grandma Margaret, she read aloud. "Thank you for being in our family. Love, Lily." "She made you family," I said softly. "Even when you never made her part of yours." Behind us, the movers quietly finished putting the last piece of furniture back. Tires screeched in the driveway. Thomas rushed in, still in his work clothes, his face tight with fury. "Mom," he said quietly. "Get out." "Thomas, if you would just listen." "I'm done listening. I'm done with the comments. I'm done with you pretending Lily wasn't real family. And I'm done with your obsession with biological grandchildren." He walked to Lily's doorway and touched the frame. She was my daughter in every way that mattered. She was my daughter. Margaret opened her mouth. "I know you loved her," Thomas said. "But no. There is no but." He turned back to her. "She called me Daddy. She ran to me when she had nightmares. I held her hand through every treatment. I was there when she took her last breath. Don't you ever tell me she wasn't my real daughter." Margaret clutched the purple card to her chest. "I just wanted you to have a future," she whispered. "My future died 4 months ago," Thomas said brokenly. "Part of it, anyway." He straightened. "Jason's baby can have a room in Jason's house. Paid for with Jason's money." He opened the front door. "Leave. Now." "You don't mean that." "Try me." His voice was steel. "Veronica is my wife. This is her house. Lily was our daughter. You disrespected all 3 today." Margaret looked between us, finally understanding what she had destroyed. She walked toward the door. "The card stays," I said. She handed it to Thomas. He took it like it might shatter. Then she left. The house fell silent. Thomas walked slowly into Lily's room and looked at the half-restored space. "I'm sorry," he whispered. "I should have known she might do something like this." "You couldn't have known," I said. He picked up Mr. Peanuts. "I just never thought she could be this cruel." "What about Jason's baby?" I asked gently. Thomas gave a short, bitter laugh. "There is no reversal. I golf with Jason every month. He's terrified of being a father. Always has been. If Jennifer is pregnant, it isn't his." I closed my eyes. "Christmas is going to be interesting for your mother," I said. "We won't be there," he replied. He pulled me into his arms. "I'm so sorry, Burr." We spent the rest of the evening putting Lily's room back exactly the way it had been. Every stuffed animal. Every drawing. Every book. Thomas found the butterfly mobile I'd made in art therapy and hung it by the window. As the sun sank, washing the room in soft purple light, we sat on Lily's bed. "She would have been an amazing big cousin," he said quietly. "The best," I whispered. "She would have taught them about butterflies and rainbows. And how to make the perfect glitter card." He smiled through tears. "Even for grandmothers who didn't deserve one." My phone buzzed. "This is Jennifer, Jason's girlfriend. Could we talk? I think there's something you should know about the baby." I showed Thomas. He sighed, suddenly looking far older than 35. "Tomorrow," he said. "We'll deal with that tomorrow." Tonight, we stayed in our daughter's room. Inside purple walls and butterfly dreams. Holding each other in the quiet space between grief and whatever comes next. Margaret was gone. But Lily's glitter-covered card sat on the dresser, shedding sparkles like tiny stars. The room would stay exactly as it was. Not a shrine. A promise. A place kept for a daughter who was real in every way that mattered. 3 weeks later, Jennifer showed up at our door with an envelope of medical records and a story about Jason's sudden disappearance. Margaret stopped speaking to us entirely after Jason moved back in with her, broke and unemployed. Thomas and I started a foundation in Lily's name, providing art supplies to children's hospitals. Some things can never be forgiven. But some things can be transformed. Lily's room remains untouched. Sometimes, when the light hits the mobile just right, I swear I can still hear her laugh.